Hey, Trailblazers. In this episode, we're talking about the best strategies that are working right now to generate high quality leads for high ticket offers. So stick around. If you want to build a legitimate, profitable online business without shiny objects, without the hypey gimmicks, and without the stress and overwhelm, if you want to make more money without having to be present online all day, every day, pumping out content that nobody sees and hustling DMs to generate leads and sales, then this is the place for you. Welcome to the Digital Trailblazer Podcast, your online business university, where you'll learn how ordinary people start from ground zero with no influence, no email list or audience to sell to, and no business or marketing experience, and go from working 9-to-5 jobs to building successful 6- and 7-figure online businesses and all the steps in between. Learn the strategies that worked and what didn't. Learn the mistakes that they made and how to avoid them, and then learn their plans for scaling their businesses and taking things to the next level. All so that you can build your business faster and easier and make more money without sacrificing the things that are important to you in your life. I'm your host, Leah Ray Getz, and with me is my husband, Todd. Now, let's get to it with today's guest. Now, whether you're brand new, just getting started, or you've been at this for a while, one problem that you constantly need to be solving is how to get in front of new people, how to actually generate fresh leads day in and day out for your business, because this is usually the biggest bottleneck for honestly almost everybody in this space. So lead generation is critical. So today we're going to break down, well, first, what does that mean? What does it actually mean to generate leads? But then also help you understand the different types of lead generation activities that you should be doing, the different strategies, and help you put together a plan that could actually work really well for you and your business.
Yeah, and I think the first thing we need to probably talk about is what does it actually mean to generate a lead? Because I think when a lot of people jump into this, they feel like as soon as somebody expresses any type of interest, that they immediately need to start selling to them.
Yeah, this is a huge mistake. And honestly, I see this a lot with running our podcast, is that when we're featuring them on our podcast and they don't have any way to truly generate leads from being on an episode, they just have a book a call link. And it's like, hold on, people. That's really jumping the gun. People who listen to you on a podcast, who get introduced to you somewhere, somehow, they're not necessarily wanting to jump into a sales conversation right away. That is a really high resistance activity and a big turnoff for a lot of folks. But they might want to learn a little bit more about you. They might be interested, but not ready for a sales conversation. The vast majority of people will fall into that category. And so you offer something of value for free in exchange for their contact information, their name, email, potentially even phone number. And now you can market to them over time through email, potentially text message as well, and help them warm up to you, get to know you better, date you a little bit before actually trying to ask for a sale and jumping right to the end.
Right. And this is all based really in just decades of research in the marketing and sales industry. And if you talk to any person who's been in sales within the past 30, 40 years, they'll tell you this as well. If they're any good at their job, they'll know this, that it takes somewhere between 7 and 12 touch points in order to turn someone into a paying client or customer. And the same thing is true today in the internet age. And actually, Google has done research in the internet age as to what it takes to turn an online buyer into a customer or client. And what they found specifically was that on average, some people may be less, some people may be more, but on average, is that it takes around 7 hours of interaction with your brand across 11 different touch points and 4 different platforms in order to earn a customer online. And so when you think about jumping on a podcast or running an ad or creating a piece of content online, and then your call to action being something like book a call, well, you've maybe earned about a half hour of interaction across 1 or 2 touch points and then 1 or 2 platforms. That's not nearly enough in order to get any type of a paying client out of that. And so that's where a lot of people are failing, is that they're not nurturing the lead long enough in order to turn them into a paying customer or client. But even before we get to that point, a lot of people aren't even getting in front of enough people. A lot of people aren't even generating the lead in the first place. So maybe let's just back up a little bit and kind of talk about that part right there, about how do we even get in front of those people and how do we get them into our system as a lead?
Yeah. So like we mentioned, so fundamentals, we're giving away something for free, but how do we actually find them? And how do we interact with them and get them to opt in for something? Well, I'm going to break this down into kind of 3 categories. And for your business, you should put together a plan that really honestly uses probably all three of these different categories in a way that fits for your goals and what you're looking to do. But let's start off with the fast strategies, or something that can have a quick turnaround, meaning you can take activity today, tomorrow, and fairly quickly you can have you can have a sales call within a few days, and sales coming through shortly after. So there's a much shorter turnaround time. So things that we'd consider in sort of like a fast response, fast turnover type strategy. Number one, Facebook ads. We've done a lot of volume over the years in Facebook ads. If you want to reach new people quickly, you can put an ad together and get it out in front of folks, and that can work really, really beautifully.
And one of the things with Facebook ads, a lot of people complain about ad costs and they're so expensive and you might lose money. And the thing is with Facebook ads is that you only lose money if you do them wrong. If you start generating leads, if you're actually making sales, then you make money with them. And it doesn't have to be expensive. You can get started with Facebook ads for as little as $3 to $5 per day, which at the end of the month, even if you're spending $5 a day, is $150. But even at a very low ad budget, you can start bringing in leads every single day into your system. And Facebook is just one of those ad platforms that you can start using. There's also YouTube ads. There's, depending on what you're doing, Google ads may be a good fit. TikTok ads. I mean, Instagram is obviously part of the Facebook platform. Eventbrite is one that we've used in the past that's gotten some very highly engaged quality leads for us. So there's a lot of different ad platforms that you can leverage at a low daily ad budget to start bringing in leads and really start that ball moving a lot faster. And I would say the reason why people typically fail at Facebook ads is because of what we kind of talked about earlier on in the episode. Was you're trying to sell to people right away. You're running an ad to a book a call link, or you're running an ad directly to a sales page for something. And you got to keep in mind, again, that 7-11-4 rule. Are people ready to actually take that step with you? And if that's the first time that they're seeing you, the answer is most likely no. So you need to keep in mind what the process is. And if you're meeting people for the very first time, you need to be meeting them with something that's much more low resistance. And then once they're on your email list, once they're in your system, then you nurture that lead and get them to that point at some point. But it's not going to be the first interaction with you.
Now, number two for fast strategies is networking. And yes, it's simple, but it can be really, really effective, whether that's online or offline. And the trick here is to going places that, number one, your potential prospects are going to be going and or connecting, or people who can refer you, can have a really good referral network for what you do. So yes, showing up. I do online networking. We host Digital Trailblazer, our Facebook groups. We host different online networking events every single month, and they're a great opportunity to connect with folks and to show off a little bit of your skill and move people closer to you. But even offline, now I'm not an offline person. I'm much more awkward offline, and it's not my space. I crush it online, right? So I don't do the offline, but I know a lot of people who do really, really well. And depending on what your offer is, and if you might have potential referral partners or leads that attend different networking meetings in your local area, this could be a great opportunity. Now, I think people often overthink this and what should they do in networking meetings. I keep it really brief about what I do, and I just basically, I say show off, but I coach people. Like, I just give tons of value. I'm the folks that are in these events that I could help. Oh, I'm going to just be helping them. I'm going to give them tips and little nuggets and really helpful things so that they can start chewing on them and start, wow, maybe she's got some answers for me. Maybe she could really help me. And then, we're like, okay, well, let's, we can book a call afterwards if you want to chat about it, right? And you're setting up those separate conversations. But I've literally had opportunities on networking meetings to do this very thing. And within 24 hours of that initial conversation, someone was spending high four figures with us within 24 hours. So networking, it can be a really, really fast turnaround, especially in person, but you're connecting with a human being, right? And so you're avoiding sort of all of the automated, the high tech and high system stuff, but you're just connecting human to human, whether that's through Zoom or in person. And that can really jump you to the front of the line and help you connect with the right people fast. And then the third, not my favorite strategy, but it is fast and can be very effective, is the DMing conversations and really responding to folks in Facebook groups. So if you're out there participating in Facebook groups, you're giving thoughtful responses to people's questions in groups, and then you're maybe moving them into conversations and talking and helping them and inviting them to jump on a call or to maybe watch your VSL or attend a webinar that you're doing. All of that can work really, really well. It is high hustle level though. So it's not my favorite strategy, but it is effective. So if you've got time and you've got especially the gift of gab and you like really doing this sort of strategy, it can be really effective and help you, move people fairly quickly through the process.
Yeah, and this is one of those strategies that we would say that, yes, while it works, there's a level of hustle and grind involved with this, that there's definitely a ceiling that you're going to hit pretty early on, and you're going to, at some point, burn yourself out. The other thing about this is that this is one of those strategies that social media platforms don't really like you to do. They find it to be kind of spammy, and other people don't necessarily like it either. Typically, the way that people are doing this is that they're joining Facebook groups and they're friend requesting a bunch of people. They'll try to max out their friend requests for the day. The people that accept the friend request, they'll start DMing with them. And again, they're going to max out the number of DMs they can send per day before they get suspended or blocked somehow. And so it's always kind of playing this cat and mouse game with the social media platforms of how much activity can you do before you get blocked or suspended. And so there is a ceiling that you're going to hit with this. So yes, while it does work, it can be effective. It's one of those things that as soon as you can afford to start jumping into paid ads or something like that, people are typically going to do that.
Yeah, we've actually had a lot of our clients come to us who were burning out and struggling on the DM side of things, and we're looking for more automated leverage ways to do it. And so we worked with them to get started on ads and start converting through that method so they could have some level of stability and consistency and not so much hustle with it. So the second category or second bucket, if you will, is really sort of the slow burn long-term strategies for generating traffic and leads. And this is kind of a big category, but this is content marketing. You hear all the time about creating content, whether this could be YouTube, this could be on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Pinterest. There's all of these different platforms. And I'd say SEO falls into the same category. You're putting out content and you're relying on the platforms to introduce people to your content. The challenge with this is it can be really, really time intensive to put together consistent, really high value content, and it can take a really long time. Now, I'm not saying not to do it because we do it clearly. I mean, we have a podcast. A podcast is content marketing, right? So it's very, very effective. But a problem that I see is that there's a lot of coaches out there or people trying to build online businesses, and they only are playing these long-term slow burn strategies for generating leads and traffic. And they have nothing going on for those fast turnover opportunities. And so they're not making any sales because they're not generating any leads. They're maybe 6 months, 18 months away from that YouTube channel starting to pick up and get them some traction. Well, that's a really long time to go in your business without generating any traffic and generating leads and sales. So I love content marketing. You have to commit to getting really good at creating high quality content and learning how to get really good at it, learning what the audience and the algorithms are responding to. But it is the long-term game. So I suggest choosing a strategy, both at least one fast turnover strategy and one of the slow burn strategies. So you're playing that long-term game that's going to serve you over over years to come. But you're not waiting on that to actually start helping people and making money in your business.
Yeah. And the big problem with the content marketing is that you're always relying on the algorithm to somehow get triggered or to show you to new people. And unless it's a new emerging platform or some new feature in a platform, typically that's going to be really tough to do. And so the way that we prefer to do this, our strategy is to pick a form of content that's longer form. So that could be YouTube, that could be a podcast, that could be a blog, something like that, where it's evergreen content that's longer form, and just pick one of those. And then once a week or maybe twice a week, create a piece of content on there and then cut that up into shorts and reels and things like that to be repurposed to other platforms. You can hire a VA to do that for you. So it's super easy. You can use AI to take your content, turn it into a blog post or whatever. So there's really easy ways to repurpose that for other things. But that's really the easiest way to create one piece of content, repurpose it for other things. And then the other thing that we always keep in mind is that the content that we create is mostly for re-engaging our existing leads. It's not necessarily something that we are relying upon to reach a new audience. It's something that we're using to keep our existing leads engaged to move them closer to a sale.
Exactly. And I think that's where people get messed up, especially at the beginning. And it takes them a lot of time to understand this, is that they think that this content marketing is going to bring them fresh leads and reach new people and everything and start bringing in sales right away. Not so much. Over time, you can slowly grow an audience and reach new people, but that's going to take a long time. But in the short term, if you're able to connect with people in other ways, say through ads or through networking or through whatever other strategies you're working, and then get them to follow you, get them to check out your content, that is a beautiful way to nurture them and kind of part of the middle of funnel piece, if you will, to get them to consume more and more content and drawing them closer and closer to you.
And remember, 7 hours of interaction across 11 different touch points and 4 different platforms. So once people do become a lead, they're in your system, they're on your email list, and you're creating this weekly content, that's where you start emailing your list every time you come out with a new piece of content. That's where you're going to get more touch points, more hours of interaction, and moving people closer to becoming clients and customers.
Now, I'm going to throw in a third bucket, and this is one that I really love. So this is sort of middle of the road. It can go relatively quickly, but it's not as one for one or as quick necessarily as the fast strategies. And this kind of middle of the road, this is other people's audiences, OPA, other people's audiences. So a great strategy that we love and we talk about often with our audience is podcast guesting. People like us host podcasts. We've spent years potentially building an audience that knows, likes, and trusts us, who comes to us for great content, great information. And if we can bring on a guest, now you're borrowing our authority because we're introducing you to our audience. You can just step in front of them, show up, give great value, help them to learn what you do, how you help people, shine with some great tips and nuggets and stories, and then offer them your lead magnet, your freebie at the end of that episode. So you can take someone else's audience, like our podcast audience, and now the ones that are interested and resonate with you, they're going to be joining your email list through your lead magnet. So podcast guesting is really, really effective. I would be really strategic about it. I would aim for doing at least one interview a week. And there's all kinds of tools and resources and Facebook groups and places that you can find opportunities to do this. But podcast guesting is a great way to do this. Another one is summits and giveaways. We're in summits and giveaways frequently. And honestly, people invite us to them and we don't usually ever have to pay anything. They just let us be in things because we have big lists, right? And they want to reach a bigger audience with their giveaways and with their summits. And so we get asked to participate and we just have to send some emails and we give away something. If it's a summit, we'll speak or provide some sort of training. And with a summit, with a giveaway, if you're not familiar with what these are, there's a host and they're coordinating a bunch of speakers or business owners who are going to come together and collaborate, bringing their lists together essentially. So if there's 10 speakers, then all 10 speakers, and they've got 1,000 people on their email list or 10,000 or 50,000 people on their email list each one of those is going to be promoting this summit where they all come together or give away, and they give away a freebie or they provide some great training or interviews or different things on the summits. And so by us participating as a guest, as a speaker, we are now getting in front of Joe, Sarah, and Sally Mae, and whatever else, all these other people who are speakers and have email lists who've never heard of us before. When they email their list about the summit or the giveaway, now they're hearing about us. And now we're generating leads. So we just finished up a summit last month that brought us a high ticket coaching client. And it literally took us the effort of writing, and not even writing, but sending like 2.5 emails to reach new people to participate in that giveaway and to generate leads.
And this leveraging other people's audiences, there's a ton of power in there, because here's the thing with paid ads is that when you're running paid ads, you are reaching a cold audience who has no idea who you are. They don't know if you're credible. And so you're basically starting from ground zero with those leads that you're generating there. And you've got a lot more warming up to do. On the other end of that, when you're doing content marketing and you're trying to build up a reputation, get seen that way, yes, you're building a much warmer audience that knows you, but it's a lot slower. This middle ground, this other people's audiences, is a really good blend between the two, because you're instantly getting in front of an organic audience that has a lot of trust and rapport built with the host, that they instantly see you as authoritative and credible and as an expert because you're being brought on as a guest expert. And so you're not starting from ground zero like with the paid ads, but you have that instant authority and credibility that you would have if you'd built your own warm audience. So it's a really great way to get in front of thousands, if not tens of thousands of people at a single time, once a week, every time you jump onto somebody else's podcast. So it's one of our favorite strategies, especially for people just starting out.
All right. And then the third piece of this middle bucket is speaking. And this would be speaking at live events, locally, nationally, internationally. It can be a huge opportunity. And when you are speaking, you can very quickly sell. Like you can sometimes sell directly from stage if they let you. But why I put it in the middle of the road strategies is because there's this lag time. There's like finding the speaking opportunities. They're only happening once a year or whatever, at whatever frequency. And so it's not something that I could be like, okay, I need more sales this month. I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. It's not something that you can really control and hustle out and do something quicker with, but it can be awesome when you get the opportunities. There's just quite a lag time usually between getting the speaking opportunity and actually being able to speak and sell.
Now, everything that we've kind of talked about up to this point has been how to get in front of people to generate leads from. There's a whole second part of this as to, well, how do you actually, once you get in front of people, how do you actually get them onto your email list? How do you turn them into an actual lead and start them down that path of becoming a paying customer client? And that all has to do with your lead magnet and then the funnel for your lead magnet. And kind of like what we mentioned at the very beginning of the episode, what a lot of people do is they offer something like book a call or buy my book or buy this thing or whatever. And it's usually a very high resistance thing that you're asking that's not really going to work out so well in most cases. Again, because remember the 7-11-4 rule. Okay, I'm not going to have to repeat it again, but 7-11-4. So let's start by talking about the lead magnet. What should you be offering as that freebie in order to get people to opt in and join your list? And what we typically say is that you want to think about not necessarily what is the end goal that someone wants to achieve, but what is that top of mind concern, that top of mind problem that someone is actively thinking about right now that they want to solve? And the way I've heard this described before is it's not how to get from A to Z. It's how do I get from A to B? What is that next first step that I need to take? And so, for example, if you were wondering about how to lose weight, like maybe you want to lose 30 pounds in order to get high school skinny again. Well, yeah, maybe that's your end goal. That's the A to Z goal. But what's that first step? It might be, well, what is the diet plan I need to be on? What are the supplements I need to take? What is the exercise plan I should be on? How do I fit this into my schedule, right? Those are all the immediate questions that people have that work really well as lead magnets. It's those super specific top of mind issues that people are thinking about that you want to create your lead magnet on. And then as far as the format of this, again, we want this to be super low resistance. We want this to be something that's easy to say yes to. And so even though you might have, for example, a free consultation that may be super high value, thinking about having to book a time on a calendar with somebody and then getting on a Zoom call or getting on a phone call with somebody, those are all very high resistance things. People don't like having to do those. People don't even like having to pick up their phone to talk to somebody. They want you to text them first, right? So think about that. Those are going to be things that raise resistance rather than lower it, even though it's something that's high value. So think about something that's easy to do, that they can do with a few clicks. And for the most part, that's going to be something like a free PDF download. That's really the easiest thing to do. It might even be something like a MP3 download, something where they can download it and listen to it anytime. Things that might be higher resistance would be joining a masterclass or a live webinar or something like that, or even a video that they have to watch online that they can't really download onto the phone. Those are all going to be higher resistance. It's going to take time. It's going to take a higher level of commitment to do. So really, for a lead magnet, think about something that's as low as resistance as possible that's going to get somebody onto your email list. Something that's just an easy first step that they can take, where once they take that first step, now they're on your email list. Now you can do those other things, but we just need to get them on your email list first. Now, as far as the funnel for this, the mistake that so many people make is that they have an opt-in page, and then after the opt-in page, they put in their name, their email, and they click submit. They go to a second page that says, thank you, here's your download, and then goodbye. And then that's it. what happens when you have a funnel like that is that people get to a dead end and then they drop off. And that's how you end up with inactive leads on your list that don't ever open anything, they don't ever interact with you, and they never take another step. So what you want your funnel to do is you have the opt-in page. People put in their name, their email, they click submit, they go to a next page. And the next page is congrats for requesting your free blank guide. It's on its way to your email. While you wait, do this thing. You're immediately getting people to take that next step. What you have to think about is, what do you want that next step to be? And depending on what your business is, what your offer is, that may be different. For some people, it may be joining a Facebook group. For other people, it may be registering for a free masterclass. For other people, it may be buying a book. At that point, something like that is more appropriate after they've taken that first step. They're on your email list. At that point, then you can make a higher resistance ask, and people are much more likely to say yes to that.
Exactly. Now, if you are curious, you recognize maybe there's some potential gaps in what you're currently doing that could be improved. If you want to learn what should be in your email sequence, what should those funnel pages look like, how to set all this up and automate this process, well, we've got something special for you. Hot off the presses, we have a brand new course that we're able to offer you for free.
Yeah, it's a brand new course. It's all about how to create an automated lead generation funnel that actually works for generating leads that you can turn into high-ticket clients and customers. And so it takes you step by step about how to build this funnel, how to set up all the technical components, the way that you want to lay out the pages, the things that you want to say on each of the pages, how you want to set up all the automations, the email templates, and all that stuff. And we actually give you our funnel page templates that we use in our business. We give you the email follow-up template that we use in our business. So you're going to be able to download those in this course as well. So go ahead and check out the show notes. The link to grab this should be right in there. And like I said, it's 100% free, no strings attached. So go ahead and check that out, and we will see you on the inside.
You've been listening to the Digital Trailblazer podcast. For show notes and information about today's guest, head to digitaltrailblazer.com. Now, if you love this episode, if you got some value, make sure you leave us a review and subscribe. And be sure to share this episode with anyone you know who could use help to build their business. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time.